So I'm here to talk to you very briefly about 5-alarm bio. We're trying to boost the body's ability to defend itself against the damage of aging. I'm the scientific founder behind it, and we're very new, so this is the first time we've done this pitch, so apologies if it goes badly off the rails halfway through. I don't really have to tell you about this. We've heard a lot about this already. Aging is the number one health issue facing our culture, and what we're really concerned about here is extending not lifespan, but health span, healthy lifespan, the ability to do things. What we want to be is like this guy here or this guy here. We don't want to end up like this guy here at age 95, but incontinent, unable to move, and not really wishing to be alive. We think there are two approaches to doing this, and you've heard a lot today about very high-tech approach, very aggressive interventions, gene therapies, cell therapies, tricorders. This sort of falls into what I call the therapeutic intervention space. We're more interested in modulating existing metabolism and boosting that metabolism. There are lots of ways of doing this already existing: intermittent fasting, intense exercise, plant natural products that are themselves quite toxic, but at the right dosage have an effect. Why do this rather than, as Reason said before the coffee break, go after something aggressive? Well, Aubrey said right at the start that he reckons there's a 50-50 chance it'll take 17 years to get that sort of aggressive intervention technology to be applied. I think in about 17 years there's a 50-50 chance I'll be dead. I'm 64. I want something now. Okay, I want something now to use on myself. I want something now to commercialize. So this is a short-term, bridge the gap, but commercializable approach. These sort of modulating metabolism approaches, a lot of them work through a process called hormesis. How many here people know about hormesis? Hormesis? Okay, not very many. Well, this is the concept that a low level of stress actually preconditions your body to resist later stresses on the body. And it applies across a whole different range of stresses. If you talk about hormesis, most doctors will say that's rubbish. If you talk about cardiac preconditioning, they'll say, oh yeah, everybody knows about that. It's the same thing. The problem is getting the dosage right. So there's a threshold at which you get a hormetic effect, and there's a threshold above which the stress becomes too big and it damages you. And that window declines with age. So just at the age over here, sort of 50, 60, 70, when you want this to defer the effect of aging, it doesn't work anymore. So what we're trying to do is produce agents, treatments, small molecule drugs, not gene therapies, that will mimic the effect of hormesis without actually stressing you. And we currently calling them hormimics. If somebody can think of a better word, please let me know. So the approach, this is based on quite a long, I've been researching and thinking about this about as long as Laura Deming's been alive, which is quite depressing. It's different from other approaches. It doesn't stress cells. It doesn't intervene energetically in metabolism. We're not overdriving existing mechanisms. And it should therefore be inherently safe. And our probe molecule, which I'm going to talk about very briefly, which we imaginatively called FAB001, has been into man for different indications, not aging indications, at 400 mgs per patient daily for several months. So this isn't something that's inherently toxic, unlike dasatinib and quercetin and things like that. So our first target is looking at cell senescence. This is purely pragmatic. We can demonstrate it has an effect in the lab. You've heard a lot about senescent cells from other people. I won't go through the background of senescent biology. These are my cells. Mike West used his cells. I used my cells. There they are, happy cells taken out of me. They don't look too old, do they? They look reasonably okay. If you grow them in culture, they end up looking like this. These are really sick, unhappy cells. It's been demonstrated in mouse models. You heard that ablation of those cells will improve age-related disability and disease of all sorts. And what we've done is demonstrate that our mimic compound will actually defer the development of senescence in cells in culture without stressing them. So here's the data. This is the sort of data you get. This is cumulative number of cells. This is log up here because they're growing exponentially. And the blue line there is what happens if you don't treat them. They grow and grow and grow and then stop growing. And this is 1 micromolar, and this is 10 micromolar of the compound. They grow for longer. These growth curves are very variable between experiments, so we've done a lot of experiments, and we get a significant increase in lifespan of the cells like this. You don't have to dose them all the time, which is important. If I have to take a pill every day between now and the age of 85, but it doesn't work if I forget one day, that really doesn't work for me. But interestingly, they also reduce the load of damage in those cells. So this is a picture of cells, and the green blobs are autofluorescents. They're accumulated junk in the cell, and if you look at the amount of that accumulated in cells, that is also decreased with the drug treatment, and it also reduces the amount of time cells spent senescence in cell culture. So they seem to be healthier when they get that. That's where we are at the moment. It's in vitro demonstration. What we want to do is take this forward to 2 commercial applications. There's a conventional therapeutics one, and I'm particularly interested in this in Alzheimer's for personal reasons, but obviously for commercial reasons. Drug companies tend to be pulling out of Alzheimer's research because all the therapeutic possibilities so far have failed miserably. This is a different sort of approach, and if there's a sniff of something good, then we can license that to a drug company, is the theory. But if you talk to non-pharmaceutical, non-biotech investors and say anti-aging, they say, oh, so you're doing cosmetics. And so this is also something we're looking at, not because it's going to have a major impact on human well-being, but because we can make money from it. Simple as that. So this is what we're going to do next. We've got a fairly detailed plan of where we're going next. We've got an IP milestone after about a year, a big one at the end of 3 years, which is when we get our big value uplift. We have a plan. We've got about £2.5 million to take us forward. This is a British plan, so it's fairly small scale. It's fairly small amount of money. If I was in California, I'd say, please give me 10 times as much, and I'll do it 5 times as fast. I tried to count the number of presentations, had a picture of Aubrey on them. I've lost count. Aubrey, you know. Pedro is very well known in the anti-aging field, is Liverpool. Andy Morley is the opposite of these two. These two are very optimistic. Andy Morley, you show him a chemical structure and he'll say, like an engineer. Great balance of that. Myself, I got a science background. Sunil's a serial entrepreneur and very successful. And Anne Baker's a sort of corporate strategist and manager who managed to keep the balance between the two of us. So that's 5-alarm. It's a new approach to enhancing body's ability to defend itself against damage. It's based on a lot of research, but it's, we believe, near to a conventional product that we can take into it. We've shown it works, and we're seeking some money to take it forward. And I'll leave that up there and welcome your questions.